Hey everybody, it's Bolshi here, back with another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous build video. If you like this build, make sure you like and subscribe. It will really help me grow the channel. If you've seen some of my other build videos, you might notice that some of my builds have crazy inflated stats, AC, crazy damage, and I'm not using any exploits or even any consumables. One of the big reasons for that is this class that I'm about to show you right now, the Brown Fur Transmuter. The Brown Fur Transmuter is probably the best buffing class in the game, and it's going to add a ton of damage and survivability for all of your melee and ranged characters. In addition to buffing, it's also got some decent crowd control, and all in all, it's a very simple build, 20 levels in one class, and a lot of flexibility for feats and skills. Alright, so let's jump right into the build here. Our first level is going to be Arcanist, Brown Fur Transmuter. All 20 levels are going to be Brown Fur Transmuter. The Brown Fur Transmuter has a lot to offer. We get to use this Arcane Reservoir, which stores Arcane Pool points that we can expend to improve the effectiveness of our spells. So you can, if you're casting a crowd control spell, you can increase the save difficulty. If you're casting buffs, later on in the game we get things like Powerful Change, which allows us to boost up the stat buff. And also we get this cool thing, Share Transmutation, which allows us to take spells that we would normally only be able to cast on ourselves and be able to cast them on our allies. So two really unique and great features. Arcanists are a combination between spontaneous and prepared casters. You prepare 3 or 4 spells per day, and then you can cast those 3 or 4 spells in any combination up to your maximum spell cast per day. So as an example here, for first level, at level 1, I can choose any of these spells for my 2 spell slots. And then, when we actually get in the game, I can cast any combination of these 2 spells 3 times. So I could do 3 Color Sprays, 3 Magic Missile, or any combination of the 2 that adds up to 3. For Elf here, for Race rather, I'm going to go Elf. Elf gives us bonuses to Dexterity and Intelligence, 2 of our most important stats, and we also get this nice little feature here, +2 to overcome spell resistance, which is important for our CC. Background, this is up to you. I use this character as kind of a skill monkey because it's going to have high intelligence, it gets a lot of skills. So I went with Pickpocket to be able to get Trickery and Stealth as part of my class skills. Our starting stats, we're going to go 7 Strength, we don't need Strength at all, 16 Dexterity, 12 Constitution, 19 Intelligence, 14 Charisma, and just 1 extra point in Wisdom there. There are some Arcanist class features that rely on Charisma, so that's why we boost that up a little bit. Intelligence is our casting stat, determines your bonus spells and also your saving throw difficulties. Skills, whatever you need here. I went with Trickery, Stealth, and then Knowledge, Arcana, and World. Our first feat is going to be Point Blank Shot. It's going to allow us to attack more effectively with our rays and our cantrips. Our first Arcanist exploit, and this is what we're going to be spending these Arcane Reservoir points on, is going to be Potent Magic. This is going to increase, when we use this ability, it'll increase the caster level or the difficulty class of its saving throw by 2 instead of 1. Very helpful early game. You want to focus on buffs here. So we get a lot of spells, like prepared casters do. I like to go with Enlarged Person, Expeditious Retreat. I mean, you're really going to get all of these spells, but just looking ahead, we are going to be using some of these spells that have a target of personal with the Share Transmutation to give to our allies. So eventually, starting at level 9, you will be able to give Expeditious Retreat, things like Hurricane Bow, and that's really about it for this level. You'll be able to give these spells to your allies when you normally wouldn't. Shield, Magic Missile for some damage. What else am I missing here? Vanish is always helpful. You can learn spells from scrolls as well. Color Spray is actually pretty good in early levels. Level 2, Brown Fur Transmuter. Get your skills out of the way. Get some more spells. Oh, Grease. What am I doing? I forgot Grease. Grease is a great CC spell early game. You definitely want to have that. And Reduce Person has its uses. Level 3, Brown Fur Transmuter. Our feat at level 3 is going to be precise shot. This is going to allow us to shoot into melee without taking the standard -4 penalty. When we're not casting spells, that'll be nice. And as an elf, we also get longbow proficiency, so you can shoot arrows into combat. And also at 3rd level, we get powerful change. So now we can start buffing our spells by expending 1 point from our arcane reservoir, and it will boost the ability score bonus by 2. Very nice early game. At level 4, we're going to go intelligence. We're going to get our skills out of the way. And now we start getting these stat buffs. So I like to take bull strength, depending on what your party composition is. If you have a lot of melee, you definitely want bull strength. If you have ranged, you might want to get cat's grace. You can also learn these spells from scrolls because the Arcanist is a hybrid spontaneous prepared caster. But I go with bull strength for my melee, and then glitter dust. Glitter dust is a great spell in the early game. It blinds all creatures within a 10-foot burst, and if those creatures are blinded, they get a -50, or I should say they have a 50% miss chance, and they're also flat-footed, which means they don't get their dexterity bonus to AC. So this is one of the best spells early game. Level 5, more skills. Our feat here is going to be spell focus conjuration for things like grease and glitter dust, which we're going to be using a lot of in the early game. I'm going to take dimensional slide for my Arcanist exploit. This gives us dimension door. It's kind of like a little teleport, and this will really help get your character out of trouble when it gets focused. You can take more stat buffs. It's nice to have some damage here, mirror image for survivability. We probably want to get Scorching Ray though, so that we can actually contribute some damage at this level. And I would pick another stat buff, say Cat's Grace. Level 6. Since we're the buffer, we definitely want to get haste. And heroism is probably a good idea at this point. Level 7, more skills. At level 7, we're going to take Greater Spell Focus Conjuration. Now, I am not going to be taking any meta magic in this build because it's broken on the beta and it will completely glitch out your game. So this is the actual build that I used during beta. It's going to be a little bit different from what I would do once that is fixed. So let's see, our third Arcanist exploit is going to be Swift Consume. I forgot to mention that you can consume spells to add the spell level of that spell to your arcane reservoir. So if you ever run out of your pool points, you can consume spells, and this is going to allow us to do that as a swift action, which is nice if you need it in combat. One other key spell that I like to get here is Rage. Rage gives a +2 morale bonus to strength, so that's a different category of buff than our bull's strength. And we could buff this up as well, so this is one more place to get more stat buffs. It's also nice to have Fireball at this point. It's always good to have Fireballs. Level 8, we're going to get 1 point Intelligence. For spells, we're going to take Greater Invisibility, which is a really nice buff for your melee. Lets them attack flat-footed AC, as well as giving them Concealment. And I like to take maybe one of the pit spells. Animate Dead is good. You have a lot of choices here. Controlled Fireball is also good as well. Level 9, skills out of the way. Our feat at level 9 is going to be Spell Penetration for those pesky spell resistance checks. Now, I like to have at least one damage spell per level, so that I'm not just sitting there after I've given out the buffs doing nothing. So Controlled Fireball is nice. Obsidian Flow is a pretty good damage and CC spell as well. Level 10, round for Transmuter again, get your skills out of the way. I like to go with Animal Growth if you've got pets here, and Stone Skin. Communal Stone Skin is a really good buff overall. Gives DR10 to your entire party, damage reduction. So that's very nice to have. Level 11. Our feat is going to be greater spell penetration. It's going to give us another +2 to caster level checks. And at this point, we have pretty much all of the good Arcanist exploits that we're going to be using all the time. You can pick up spell resistance. It's a good one as well. Other spells at 5th level that are nice would be Cloud Kill is a really good one. I didn't pick up Stinking Cloud at 3rd level. I probably should have. With Delay Poison, Communal, everybody's immune to poison, and you can just drop this on a pack of mobs and your party, and it does a lot of work. Another good spell at this point would be Phantasmal Web. Now, this is only going to target enemies, and eventually we're going to apply all of our conjuration bonuses to the illusion school, so this is nice CC as well. Level 12, more intelligence. That gives us a lot more skill points. Now we can max out 5 skills. And at level 6, we're going to take, you get a lot of choices here. One of the buffs that you normally would only be able to cast on yourself, but now you can give to your party, is Transformation. This is extremely good for pets, and really any class that's not full base attack bonus. So things like rogues, alchemists, things like that. We're also going to pick up Greater Heroism at this point. This is going to give us +4 morale bonus to attacks, saves, and skill checks. And since you're the buffer, you want to be passing this out. Level 13, more skills. Our feat at level 13. Now at this point, we have pretty much all of the good feats that we want for our casting ability. And from here on out, I just went with skill focus. So here I took skill focus trickery because this was my lock picker. Greater spell resistance for our Arcanist exploit. And at this point here, I went Phantasmal Putrefaction. This is another great illusion CC spell that only targets enemies, and it's very helpful for us. Another good CC spell at this level is Chains of Light. Since we're invested in Conjuration, we have reasonably high saving throws for this one as well. Level 14 gives us 7th level spells. So we are going to go with Legendary Proportions. This is a huge damage increase for your melee. It gives a +6 size bonus to strength, increases their size category by 2, which means their weapons do more damage, and it gives a +6 bonus to natural armor that stacks with everything else. A great buff overall. I also like to go with Dragonkind. You can apply this to melee over pets. They get a lot of really good bonuses here. Normally you can't apply this to anybody but yourself, but because we're the Brown Fur Transmuter, we can apply this to anybody. Level 15. Skills out of the way. Our feat, I went with, I believe it was Deceitful, yeah, Persuasion and Trickery. At this point, from here on in the game, I just buff up my Trickery skill as high as I possibly can. Take Armored Mask here. Since we don't really have any damage at 7th level, I like to get True Seeing Communal. True Seeing negates any illusion spell that gives concealment, like Displacement, Greater Invisibility, Mirror Image, all of those things. True Seeing will completely negate those things, so that's very nice. We don't have any damage at this level, so I go with something like Caustic Eruption. Kind of hard to use because it targets everybody around you, so you have to position yourself so that you only hit enemies, but it's still nice to have some damage because once you cast your buff spells, you just have 7th level slots sitting there, so if you don't have some damage to get out, it's kind of wasted. Level 16, more points in intelligence. Level 8 spells, we definitely want to get Frightful Aspect. Frightful Aspect is another size bonus to strength, constitution, natural armor bonus, and it also gives the shaken debuff to everybody with no saving throw. So there's an aura of fear 30 feet around the person that this is centered on, and everybody gets shaken with no saving throw. So this is probably the best buff in 8th level. We can also pick up protection from spells, another +8 resistance bonus on saving throws. That's a good one. Greater angelic aspect is normally something you can only cast on yourself that you can now give to party members. Dragonkind 3 is another amazing buff. It says this is a +10 size buff, but it's actually categorized as polymorph. So this is a completely separate category that can add to, say, a pet's strength buff. And this is how we start getting the crazy numbers, because you can apply the powerful change to all of these different categories of buffs. So a lot of choices at level 8. Level 17, our feat here, I can't remember which one exactly gives more trickery. I basically just never wanted to miss a, I think it's like deft hands or something like that. Yeah, here we go. I never wanted to miss a lockpick, so I went all in on trickery. Energy shield here. We get to choose more of these great 8th level spells. Probably also want to get some damage here, so Storm Bolts is nice. I always try and get some damage on every level. Level 18, we now get access to our great 9th level spells. One of the best ones is Fiery Body. Normally, this is something that you can only put on yourself, but with the Share Transmutation ability, we can give this to anybody. So, you know, imagine giving your tank immunity to fire damage, immunity to blindness, critical hits, ability damage, disease, all of these immunities, and a +6 enhancement bonus to your dexterity. So just an all-around amazing buff here. And also Heroic Invocation. This is going to give your entire party a +4 morale bonus to attack, damage, and some temporary hit points. Also immunity to fear and charm. A great buff. At level 19, Knowledge Arcana. It pops up quite a bit. We have all of the good Arcanist exploits at this point, so you could take something like Shadow Veil. And then I also take Foresight here. Mass Icy Prison is a great CC spell. We're not really invested in Evocation, but it's still pretty good. You could go with Weird, which is a save or die spell, and we will be invested in illusion spells, so that's a good one there. A lot of pretty good choices at 9th level. And finally, level 20, we get the capstone ability, which is our couple of things. Number one, when we use powerful change, instead of the bonus being 2, it now is increased to +4. And all of our transmutation spells are double duration. So very good 20th level capstone. Get a bunch of skill points. And some more 9th level spells. Mind Blank Communal is good. Shape Change is something normal you'd only be able to cast on yourself, but we can cast this on anybody. So anybody can take Beast Shape, Elemental Body, Dragonkind 3, a great spell. Alright, so this is more of a mercenary build. I mean, if you really wanted to make this your main character and, you know, roleplay the ultimate good guy, supportive guy, Azada and Angel would probably be pretty good choices. But since I did this with a mercenary, this is the exact layout of the feats and abilities. First, I went with Abundant Casting. My first Mythic feat, I traded out for another Mythic ability, and I went with Enduring Spells. That's kind of glitched out here. Third Mythic level, so I went with Greater Enduring Spells. Now all of my minute per level buffs are 24 hours. So buffing is a lot easier. It's definitely a lot easier. You cast, you know, 1 Bull Strength and it will last for 24 hours. And then I went with Improved Abundant Casting to get more casts of my 4th, 5th, and 6th level spells. Greater Abundant Casting. Expanded Arsenal. This takes all of our Conjuration focus feats and applies it to Illusion so that those Illusion crowd control spells are usable. And then Mythic level 7, I did Inspirational Leader to give some bonuses to initiative, saving throws, and concentration checks. And that's where the game ended for me. So these next ones, you know, you could go whatever you want. I probably would go with Mythic Spell Focus and Mythic Spell Penetration for these two. And I don't even know on the last one, maybe Rupture Restraints or something like that. So here you can see we've got our main character. This is the Demon Knight build. 80 strength, which I think is about as high as I can get it with the gear I have right now. If you take a close look at all these stat buffs, you can see the plus 10 strength from size, plus 8 strength from bull strength, plus 18 strength from dragonkind. Like, these buffs are only possible with the level 20 brown fur transmuter. So that is what I had. That was the first thing, the first mercenary I got when I hit level 5 was a brown fur, and it really helps, as you can see. All right, that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.